Hello, and welcome to the course Building a Healthy Culture and Performance through the Townsend Institute at Concordia University in Irvine. My name is Tim Peters, as you can see from the course. I've served as the Dean of the School of Professional Studies until about a year ago, where I retired. And I'm going to share a little bit about this course and a little bit about my background. Specifically, week one we'll get into in that week's video, but I thought I'd give you a little bit of an overview of me and my experiences as it pertains to this course. I've spent my entire career in various organizations, some large and some small, and I would say that whether that culture was healthy or not was maybe one of the most significant contributors to the success of what we were doing. I began my career right out of college as a brand new teacher at a very urban school in just above New York City. I was unprepared for the culture. I come from a small town, although I did my studies in Chicago. Living in very urban New York was quite different for me. I was probably just beginning to learn to be a teacher and maybe not that good at it quite then at that point in time. And I was also living in a culture in New York that was very exciting and in a lot of respects very scary. It was scary not because of anything physical. It was scary because I was not really in tune with how to do my best job of living in that culture. I oftentimes said living in New York as a beginning teacher making very little salary was kind of like standing outside of a candy store with no money to go in. There's so much to do in New York and so little that I could do. And I was spending my time and my wife's time, and she was a teacher too, trying to learn how to teach. It was, however, a wonderfully valuable experience for me. I learned a lot about me. I learned a lot about New York. I learned a lot about the culture of schools. I learned a lot about many things, so that when I took my next position, which was to be a principal of a small school on the edges of Los Angeles, I learned a lot how to apply that. That school had some unique history too. It was part of a Lutheran church that was the mother church of much of LA. And at that time that I came there, had declined in attendance down to less than probably 200 people, had a very small school. And most interestingly enough, it was in a community of Los Angeles, or a part of Los Angeles, that was rapidly changing, becoming much more ethnically diverse in a congregation that was ethnically not at all diverse. I was there for a number of years, and we doubled the size of that school, basically by learning how to get to know the culture of that community and work with them to show them that the kind of school we had to offer was a very positive thing for their children's experience. My next opportunity was a really amazing one, and it was to start a school, another Lutheran school, in a very affluent part of Los Angeles suburb, quite a ways out from where I was in the beginning. We started that school. It was a mission congregation at one time, and it had grown a little bit. It found enough resources to build a school, and my job was to start that school. It was amazing. I was able to work with the community in developing a school. I was able to build my own faculty and develop the culture of that faculty. And what was interesting about that was learning how to take a very suburban white Anglo community and help it to adapt to a rapidly increasing Asian influence. Much of the culture of working with those folks was so much of a great learning experience for me and for the congregation itself. I still remember the day in which, right after school had begun, I had a father come in and want to enroll his child. And I said, gee, I'd love to take your child, but the school is completely full. We have no more room. And his response was, well, I'll buy a desk. Tell me about how much that costs, and I'll move the desk in for my son. That was his way of saying, if I want something, I simply buy it, and it's there. And I had to help him to understand that even by buying another desk, we weren't going to be able to take his child. From there, I had a very challenging opportunity. I was called to be a principal of a large school that was going through a huge cultural shift. The year before, the congregation had decided to basically fire and actually demote the principal who'd been there for 35 years to be an 8th grade teacher and to call me to be the new principal. I knew a little bit of that story, but probably not enough of it. I came into a school that was pretty evenly divided. Half the faculty liked the old principal and were very angry that he was demoted. The other half of the faculty were pretty new and really saw his ineffectiveness and were happy to have a new principal. Congregation the same way, and the school family the same way. There were some people who thought it was great that I was there, and others who really kind of longed for the good old days. I was only there 4 years, and my role there very clearly was to heal the culture. I was to go in a situation and help that culture to be one that was unified and worked together and was whole. And I think at the end of that time, I had mostly accomplished that. And the following principal then grew that school, probably tripled it in size, even though it was a large school when I got there. My next opportunity was to come to Concordia University in Irvine. And that's where I spent the rest of my career in over 20 years. Originally came in that culture, that school, to work in the School of Education, teach students, but I also had an opportunity to help work with all the public school districts in student teaching. And there I got to experience not only the kind of inclusive culture of the university, but the culture of public school districts in that part of California, from the very affluent down in the southern part of the county to the very poor up in the northern part of the county, and helping my teachers that were being placed there to understand that that was education and that they were going to be good teachers. They needed to work in a variety of cultures and varieties of communities. Probably the most learning thing that I came from that environment was how to work in the culture of a university that really didn't want to change. When I first came there, Concordia was a very small liberal arts school. We did have a School of Education, but basically about 500-600 students. They were very happy to be a traditional liberal arts school, a residential campus. Almost no one commuted. And the president at that time realized that if we were going to grow and succeed, we needed to reach out. So I was given the job to explore adult education and specifically develop degree completion programs for online students. The culture that I worked in was not at all in favor of that. In fact, they were very opposed to us moving beyond the traditional core of traditional undergrad students and School of Education. So what I did there is work with the people that were there, and I actually had those same faculty who were not thrilled about me doing this, even though I was appointed by the president and told by the board to do this, to help them write the curriculum. And they were the main writers of this curriculum. They were highly involved in the launching of the curriculum. And although they weren't crazy about the idea, they did feel a sense of ownership, a sense of shared values as we built that program. From there on, we developed a number of graduate programs, a number of online programs. It became a little bit more accepted in the university. We certainly generated revenue, which was important for the university. But then came China. And that was my next interesting experience, to have the opportunity to go to China. And we partnered with a public school system in Shenzhen, China, to do a training program for their teachers. They actually sent Chinese teachers to the United States for a 3-month period. We trained them in education, and they go back and they would revitalize their school. Great deal of learning about China, great deal of learning about how to understand their culture, how to bring their culture to the United States, respect it while they were here, move them back to their cultures in China, and work with those students. Lots of learning opportunities there. I still remember one kind of humorous, but it wasn't at the time, story in which the main person of the Shenzhen public schools came to the United States to meet with us. He was at the president's house. Our president said I should get him a clock, which was a Concordia clock, a beautiful brass clock, and presented it to him, had him take a look at it, immediately close the box and hand it to the side. In talking to his aide later, what I discovered was that giving a Chinese person a clock with a white face was basically telling him that this is your death clock, because of all the connotations of white and clocks and the similarity of a Mandarin word clock and an American word clock. We worked through that. We explained it. We helped him to understand we were trying not to offend him, but again, understanding the culture of their community and the culture of our community. The final thing was probably working with Townsend and getting this Townsend degree up and going. And again, that's another culture too, because John had his own way of doing things, his own culture, and we were trying to figure out how best to mesh that into Concordia's culture. Long story short, I've talked for almost 9 minutes now, but to help you to see that the understanding of culture is part of understanding growth, it's part of understanding development, it's part of understanding how organizations succeed. God has been good to me, given me many experiences and a great deal to learn. My passion now is to help leaders try to learn how to best work in the culture of their environment, not losing their values, not losing the mission of that culture, of that organization, but also to see how they can help that organization to grow and thrive to the next level. No organization stays stagnant, unless it dies. No organization can grow unless it embraces the changes around it, but it doesn't do that at the detriment of giving up who it is. And part of understanding cultures and healthy cultures is to work within that system. On a personal note, I'm married. My wife was a former professor at Concordia University too in the School of Education. I have 2 children, 2 grown children, and now 4 grandchildren. We moved when we retired to the Front Range of Colorado, and very much love living here and love the environment of where we're living and enjoy being retired. But I'm happy to be able to teach this course and to be able to have the opportunity to share with you. As I said, there'll be more specifics on week 1 as to what we'll be doing. But I encourage you to email me, ask questions, talk. I'm happy to mentor you if you have questions about your career and your organization. And I wish you God's blessings throughout this course. And looking forward very much to teaching it. Have a great day.